Hello, welcome to Rx30 Unlocked, the podcast where we dive into tips, tricks, and strategies to help you leverage the full power of your Rx30 system. I'm your host, Dahlia, and on this episode, we're going to go over inventory management. So let's get started. Rx30 has two different inventory management systems. One is standard reorder, which is based on minimum and max, and the other one is the calculated smart reorder. So let's discuss the standard. The standard is based on the reorder points. So I am going to pull this drug here, metformin 500, and next to reorder points, I have 500. And so that means that when the reorder point, when your quantity on hand falls below your reorder point, Rx30 will tag that NDC and add it to your purchase order. The reorder quantity must be in multiple of package sizes. Okay. Now, I just want to show you also that, let's say I have a quantity on hand of 30. Okay. In parentheses, you'll notice that there's 252. That is the total of all equivalents. So if I press F5, you'll see the different quantity on hand for the different equivalents. Okay. How I did that is in the purchase order group, I selected master, and that indicates that that is the master. I only want the system to reorder when all of my equivalents fall below the reorder point instead of the individual NDC. Now, the smart calculated method is based on how many days supply you want to maintain on a given time. So under day supply, you would enter how many day supply you want to maintain. So 90, and then how many packages you want to order once you have to reorder. So if I go to F7 detail and number 10, drug information, and number 11, inventory assessment, it's going to give me an inventory assessment. The first part is the calculated smart reorder, and that is based on the last 12 months dispensing history. So it looks at what you've dispensed the last 12 months. It does some fancy smart calculation at the behind the scenes, and then it tells me that I need to order 252 in order to maintain that 90-day supply. So the standard reorder is based on the reorder points, right? So right now I have on hand a total of 252 based on all equivalents, and I need to order an additional 1,000. Now I can also use the reorder on. This is more for like specialty drugs that are more expensive. I can choose to order it once a month. So I am going to put in May 15th, 25. And let's say I want to order every 30 days. So I can put in every 30 days. Okay. Now, when I run the reordering process, it will tag those scripts or those NDCs, and it will add it to the purchase order. What I also want to show you is an allocation. Rx30 has a really neat allocation where it tells you if you have a negative on-hand quantity, but you have NDCs in the will call bin that have not been sold yet or has not been, is still in the pharmacy and haven't been left the pharmacy. I'm going to go to F7 detail and number 22 allocated Rx list, and it gives me a list of prescriptions that are still in the bin. So I can choose to pull them from the bin, reverse them, return to stock, and then I'm able to fill the current prescription with that quantity. You can do that from the drug record. You can also go to workflow, number 17, Rx tracking log, and number 5, list of allocated quantities. So I'm going to throw a date here and then run this prescription, or I'm sorry, this report, and I'm going to select a specific drug. So I'll say metformin 500, and I will pick this NDC, and now it gives me all of the prescriptions that are in the will call bin. Okay. Also, when you're filling a prescription for a particular drug that have no quantities on hand, I can take the mouse, hover over the on-hand quantity, and you'll notice that it tells me that there are 90 tablets allocated that are over 14 days. Again, those are the ones that are in the will call bin. So once again, metformin 500, I'm going to pull this one up. Okay. Notice also that you'll see the supplier in red and the package size in red. The supplier in red means that that is an active and preferred drug. And the package size in red means that that is my master drug. So if I press F5, you'll see all of the equivalents and all of the on-hand quantities. Okay. Then you would go into PO and number one, reordering, and you would select the specific vendor or an inventory, run the reordering, and that will generate a purchase order where then you can modify it, you can add, you can delete, and then you can submit it to your wholesaler through our EDI interface. So that actually concludes our inventory management system demo. Let's see if you have any questions. What kind of questions are coming in? So Joelle has a question. What if I use more than one vendor? Jolie, yes, you can use more than one vendor. So I'm going to pull up that drug again. And you'll notice on the right-hand side where it says vendor one and vendor two. You would definitely need to have the product ID for each vendor. Or if you process a 832 file, which is a price update file, that file will automatically add the vendor ID to the drug. So once you run the reordering process, then you can select the vendor. So Michael has a question. Is it possible to skip setting reorder points and just order the medication on demand? Yes, Michael, that is a great question. I'm going to pull up this drug again. Okay. In the drug record, if you do not choose to add reorder points and you just want to order on demand or on the fly, what you would do is you would go into F10 and number 18 reorder. Now, the reorder is in parentheses, which means that I have reorder points and quantities to reorder. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that so that you can take a look and see what that looks like. So I'm going to save it. F10. Let's see. Let me refresh that. Oops. Okay. F10 and that's because I have the master. Let me just remove the master. Okay. So F10 reorder. Let's pick another drug. Simvastatin. F10 reorder. Okay. And here you would enter the quantity to reorder, the standard reorder quantity, and the quantity to order, standard reorder quantity, and quantity to reorder. So once you press F4 order, that is actually going to pick it up under the reordering process. So let's see what other questions you have. So Jeffrey has a question. How does the system handle items that come in multiple package size if I only want to order a specific package size? So that's a great question as well. I'm going to pull up this drug. Now, this particular drug comes in different package sizes. So if I press F5, you'll see the package size 80, 30, 400, and 54. So if I wanted to remove, if I want to set the 30 as my master, I will change that to master. And now I want to exclude the 454 size count. Then I can go into that NDC and select exclude it. Right now it's linked because once you set a master, all of the other equivalent NDCs are linked. But once I exclude it, it's going to totally separate itself from that reordering of that particular NDC. Okay. Marcy has a question. Is there a way to generate a list of all drugs we've used over the past 12 months with reorder points? Yes, Marcy. There's a couple of ways to do that. And you would navigate over to reports, drug, and the first report, drug inventory, will give you a list of all of your on-hand quantities, all of your reorder points, your quantity to reorder. You can actually print that to a paper, plain paper, to your printer, or you can export that to a CSV file. Any other questions? Let's see. Looks like a question's coming in from David. David, you ask, what vendors or wholesalers does the system currently support for EDI ordering? So we support several, of course, our major wholesalers. But if you wanted to take a quick look under PO number 5, inventories, if you press F5, add new, you're going to see a list of all of the vendors that we support EDI with. Now, Allison has a question. Can users review and edit orders before EDI submission? Yes, Allison. Once you run the reordering process, it creates the 850 file, which is the purchase order. Then you would go to PO and number 2, edit manual entry. Select the purchase order. Make sure you're selecting the open under status. And here you would jump over to items and you can manipulate the order. So if I wanted, instead of one package size of the atorvastatin, I can go ahead and select 2, add 2. Or I can actually clear this and add a new drug. Let's say the triamcinolone. I can add that and save it. And once you've added all of the NDCs and manipulated, then you can go ahead and submit the order through EDI to your wholesaler. Okay. Looks like Monica has a question. How do I get access to set reorder points for automatic or reordering? So Monica, you should automatically have access to that already. But if you don't, you would have to navigate over to system and password groups. And depending on what group you're in, right, you would select that group, F7 fields, and go down to drugs. And make sure that all of these are shows E for edit access. But you should automatically have that as a default. Any other questions? Do we have any other questions coming in? Okay, looks like we don't have any other questions, but as a reminder, if you have any questions or if you have a topic that you would like to discuss in the next episode, please feel free to email us at rx30unlocked@outcomes.com. Thank you so much for allowing me to go over inventory management. I appreciate your time. Looking forward to the next one. Have a great day.